correspondent from Middle East, and I work with Thomson Reuters. We had a very interesting topic which was given to us. Our topic was Dubai, Cairo, and Beirut will be the Middle East top 3 gateways in 2020, and we were required to debate on this topic and either to add to the list or delete from the list. And as a group, what we did well was to delete from the list. We managed to do that pretty successfully. Just before we started off on the cities or regions which will be the hub for Middle East in 2020, what we thought was essential was to discuss the need for a financial hub for Middle East and how is it going to be changing in 2020. That was an important point which we discussed, and we thought that the Middle East as a region, every country is mainly forcing businesses to come to them and set up shops, which means that there will be a very little chance for a city to be the major regional hub. Going by that point, we thought about starting off with these 3 cities, and we thought we would clearly not include Cairo and Beirut in the list of cities which will be the gateway for 2020, because they seem to have a lot of reasons which are strong against going against them, like political risk, the risk of governments changing, infightings within regions. In Beirut, we also had certain topics which we discussed about the cost of setting up a shop in Beirut is pretty expensive. We had our own a gentleman from the panel who had cited his own example. Cairo was thought to be a market in itself, which was happy. Egypt as a region was happy growing at 5%, but it didn't want to go beyond that. Was a topic which we thought was going against Egypt as a potential regional hub. From that, we found it hard to avoid Dubai in 2020 because it's obviously a hub now, and we thought that Dubai would continue to be so, mainly if it learns the lessons from the current crisis. Our panel thought that what Dubai needs to do is to first of all acknowledge that they learned the lessons from the crisis, and to rectify that, they need to bring in measures. Obviously, Dubai has a lot of advantages. The social tolerance was something which we thought was one of the major points for Dubai, which made it stand out to other regions. A large expat population, infrastructure was clearly better than most other cities in the Middle East. There are already major shops who have set up businesses there, so they have a presence in the region for 3 to 5 years. So it would be justifiable to think that they'll continue to do so. But the lessons of the crisis have been hard. We did agree, though, that the way that Dubai dealt with the crisis was not the best possible way, and it has created some kind of reputational damage, mainly with the Western institutions. But it's definitely, out of the 3 cities, it was the best poised to continue as a gateway for Middle East in 2020. Another place which we thought was clearly very interesting, and I know a lot of people in the panel has already discussed that, was Saudi Arabia. The main advantage for Saudi Arabia, what we saw as Riyadh as a potential gateway, was just the sheer size of the market. It's going to be very, very difficult for investors to ignore Riyadh in 2020, especially if they continue to open up the economy. Just because it's such a huge market, it's the biggest market in the Middle East. There are a lot of issues there too, social tolerance and the potential and the society as such is not opened up to the way a modern financial hub or a modern gateway to financial world would be. So that was one point which did raise concerns. But it has its own advantages. The government has been opening up. There's a lot of money in the market, and just by the size of it, they're forcing companies, which is something which we came out in the discussion. A lot of businesses are now forced to establish their own centers in regions like Saudi Arabia. If you want to do business in Saudi Arabia, come here and set it up. You can't necessarily run a business in Saudi Arabia sitting in the IFC in Dubai or any other financial center. So that could be one of the reasons which might force Riyadh to be a major financial hub in 2020. Apart from that, we did not find a lot of interesting names, though we did discuss Doha, but the panel thought that the market is still small, and it would mainly cater to energy companies and project finance companies in the future, and will continue to do so. Bahrain, Manama, we thought was kind of losing its significance, mainly because if Saudi Arabia opens up, why would you want to set up a shop in Bahrain or Manama if you can set up a shop in Riyadh? The major reason for a lot of the investment companies to be there was because of Saudi Arabia was inaccessible in the last decade or so. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it from our side. The concluding factor being, as I said earlier, the need for a financial hub in its pure terms needs to be rethought. A lot of the big institutions would prefer to have domestic hubs in places where they think there's business interest and continue to do so till 2020. So that was the main discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Hisham, would you like to come up, please? I think you have another Lebanon topic to present to us. Thank you.
Yeah, hi again. My name is Hisham Ayas from Saudi Arabia. Actually, the discussion we had on the table was typical Lebanese one, which means yes and no at the same time. So it reflects the freedom of opinion that we enjoy in Lebanon. The topic was several regional companies such as Zawiya and Arqam and international firms such as Deloitte and Booz Allen have recognized Beirut as a regional base in order to benefit from Lebanon's talent pool and low-cost structure. This trend can re-establish Beirut as a gateway to the Middle East. Argue for or against the motion and provide 5 points to support your mission. I'm going to start with the no. Some of the colleagues, said no, Beirut cannot re-establish itself as a gateway to the Middle East. And we had, let's say, a long discussion about what a gateway means or what a hub means, and does it have to be a hub for everything or a gateway for everything? The first no, which is known to everybody, is like the political stability, uncertainty, turbulence that Lebanon has known since at least, the 19th or the 18th century during the Ottoman Empire days. This remains a big challenge. Although for most of people who lived in Lebanon, they know that for Lebanese over there, this is something like, not that much unusual. And like my ex-colleague mentioned, whenever there is no gunshots, everybody's talking business and pleasure and having fun and enjoying life. So political uncertainty and enforcement of the law was a big no, and this is something beyond our control, but we hope that it will really get better. Another no was bureaucracy and how easy it is to do business in Lebanon. We're not talking about IDAL here, we're talking in general, having things certified, the red tape stuff, all these things, bribery also. We all know that, this is something that we can never deny in the Arab world. Another no was the regulation as a framework in general, how advanced it is now, taking into consideration that Lebanon has one of the most established laws when it comes to financial sector, when it comes also to other type of businesses. Also, the no was regarding the infrastructure compared to Dubai or to any other city in the Gulf. How much access you have to a good infrastructure when it comes to internet, to telecom, transportation, and stuff like that. This is for the no's. Moving to the yes, the big yes was, of course, human capital. Lebanon was known and is still known, as I was talking with the Prime Minister before, that the best and biggest export during the history of Lebanon was the people they really sent to the world. This was from 100 years ago. So the human capital is there, thanks to the good education system that we have and the well-established schooling system and also universities. I don't know if most of you know that the American University, for example, was established in 1866 when most cities in the Arab world didn't have even schools at that time.